What sports did you play growing up besides soccer?
Basketball, softball, baseball.
Good, okay, softball and baseball. Say your star pitcher is in the middle of a tie game, and there's a close play at home, and a runner is trying to score from third base. Your pitcher is covering the plate and receives the throw from the catcher and attempts to tag the base runner who's coming into home plate. It's very close play. Umpire is on top of it, signals the runner out. Now, the opposing team goes nuts, and the opposing coach jumps out of the dugout, is arguing with the umpire, and it's quite a to-do. And while this is going on, your pitcher, who is covering the plate, says to you, the head coach, the manager, team, actually the runner is safe. I missed the tag. Now, there's no replay, obviously, in high school sports.
Yeah.
Head coach, and you're into sportsmanship, what do you do?
I probably would let it go. Honestly, I think, I constantly tell my athletes to play through things that if they get fouled and the ref doesn't call it, that's the game, they have to keep playing.
Yeah.
So if a ref calls something and it's not for us, it's the same thing,
But Coach Welsh, you always told us to be good sports and always be good sportsmanship and
I'm proud of you for admitting to me that you didn't tag them.
Do your job. That's the ump's job, worry about your job,
Didn't something like that happen in the Olympics with Leighton Hewitt in tennis was playing something sock, I forget his first name. And he basically, Leighton Hewitt hit the serve and it was in, but it was called out. And then the other player said, well, I can challenge the call. So it was a similar format. I mean, it was a very virtuous thing to do,
Yes.
right? And ultimately Hewitt beat him. But that guy got like the biggest standing ovation of all time, right? But I think that bit of sportsmanship was the exception.
Yeah, and then there was a vehicle to give them, an extra point and do it right. But it's still different. And these are the kind of issues that unfortunately crop up with, sports all the time, and sportsmanship, gamemanship. And if you're the coach or you're the parent, you've got to have a decision, or how are you going to answer, how are you going to respond to this? And you saw Christie, who's played a lot of sports. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. It is a tough one. And I think most coaches would answer the same way and say, it's part of the game. Not every call is going to go our way. Not every call is going to go against us. And if down the road it might be a call that goes against our team. But you have to respect the ref or the umpire's call, even though it may be wrong, because it's all part of the fabric of the game.
Rick, quick question. What would even happen? Is that even possible to go back and correct? I don't even know, ref in the room or something like that. Like, let's say they didn't tag them. Is it possible? I know by beer league softball it happened, but like real high school or college,
It probably would not change, because in effect what happens, the official would think that you're basically insulting me because you tell them they got the call wrong.
But are you allowed to? Not like, well, is it even possible to go back and
Well, in soccer, we've had reverse calls. I mean, it has happened in the youth level where they because you've got a side official and then the center ref, and the center ref calls something, and, maybe the coach says, no, it's a throw-in for the other team. It's small things like that, but.
Yeah, but I mean, this, and nowadays, of course, with instant replay, the calls are reversed all the time. But it doesn't happen, obviously, at the amateur level.
Let me just interject there and just say something. Well, I've had my coaches, I've had fans, I've had teammates, tell me I did something that I just didn't think I did. Right? And the video never lies. I thought I say that, right? That wasn't my guy, or I didn't make that play, right? So even if the person said I didn't tag him, maybe she did, right? So you'd be surprised what you think that you've actually done on the field, on the ice, and all that, and then when you sitting on the plane and you're looking at the video and you're like, oh wow, okay, that wasn't my fault.
Yeah, but as you said, and it happens so instantaneously.
So the ref, so that's why you revert back to the ref.
Yeah. It is difficult, particularly because you got one crack at it when you're working with kids in amateur sports, and that's it. I just want to point out, that you guys will all attest to this. A lot of people have said to me, especially watching the baseball playoffs, or even watching NFL, they're amazed that players from opposing teams not only talk to each other during the course of the game, but they also talk to the officials and they talk with the umpires in a fairly cordial way. Talk about this. You must talk to, I mean, you know players you played against today, you play against them in college, you play with them in college. You know they're all friends, right?
Yeah, it actually reminds me. So we played the Redskins, which is obviously one of our big rivals, and a friend I played with in college, we were pretty close. He plays linebacker for the Redskins now, and I got a lot of grief because after the game, there was like a video of like us embracing each other, and then you know, we did jersey swaps and stuff, and fans were going crazy, like, oh, because we lost the game, and like, oh, I can't believe you're trading jerseys with a Redskins guy, and you know, I think at least at the professional level, there's just a degree of respect we have for you know, even the guys on the other side, you know, of the ball, to where it's like we're against each other right now, but in the end we're on the same team type of deal. So, you know, but I don't think it could get twisted because, you know, it could be a TV timeout, and if I know the tight ends, I might be, you know, say something to them cordially, but as soon as the ball's about to hike again, you know, I'm getting after them. So, you know, it's an understanding we have when we're on the field that I think comes up.
Hey, Christie, same thing. You talk to obviously players from opposing teams, and you must talk to the rest during the course of the game, right?
Yeah, well,
And these aren't screaming matches; these are
no,
conversations.
I mean, I got to the level where you'd have at the professional level referees that would call you by your first name. They, you know them, you see them. You know, I think the one thing when you get to that level is the perception from the fans, the media, is that people forget that we're human beings,
Yeah.
you know, and at the end of the day, we have emotions and friends, and we're just everyday people as well.
And I'm gonna get Bryce's comments too, because obviously in hockey, you see the close-ups on TV. You guys are always talking to each other. You know, it seems that way at least.
Yeah, it's,
And what are you talking about?
it's just, you know, some of it, you know, it gets back to a little bit of the respect. Like, a lot of the times if you see me talking to the other team, it's like, you know, it's because I became a veteran, I'd be like more like, especially the young kids, I'm like, hey, like, watch out, you're gonna hurt somebody. Like, point them out, hey, like, you know, you can't make that play, right? Because, you know, either you're gonna hurt somebody. So I was more kind of if you saw me talk, I'm more of like a mentor, kind of like, hey, that's dangerous.
You're talking to opposing players.
Yeah, opposing players, and, you know, like, because sometimes, like, especially in hockey, it's happening so fast, and football's like, you know, there's even some of that, and I bet you it's even on the line there, like, hey, you know, sorry about that, man, like, you know, I didn't see your knee there, like, I didn't mean to hit you from behind, like, because you know, you want to make sure that, you know, you're playing at the highest level, you're playing with that killer instinct.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you're not, you know, you said it earlier, you're not trying to, you know, end that guy's career. And so where you're actually making it dangerous out there. So a lot of that happens where the guys are just, you know, pantering, hey, well, sorry about that, it would happen here, you know. And then if you did something disrespectful, you're like, hey, you know, I'm coming for you next time, you better keep your head up. You know, right? So when I run you over, I told you I was coming, you know, so there's some of that too. So you got to police yourself as well.
I mean, the thing is I'm getting at, of course, is the fact that there is communication, there's constant chatter going on, and of course the media does a great job. It's us against the Yankees, against the hated Red Sox, and the rivalry lingers and goes on. You know, I played in the Tigers organization, I coached the Indians for many years. I can tell you that the guys on the Yankees and the guys in the Red Sox, they don't hate each other. Most of these guys know each other from the minors or from travel teams or whatever. They're just buddies. And, you know, the game is presented that this is a hated rivalry, but in the clubhouse, in the tunnels underneath the stadium at Fenway Park or at the Yankee Stadium, these guys are chatting before the game and figure out where the best play goes to dinner and so on and so forth. There's no hatred there. Yeah.
So just on that same topic, Are there situations where you're playing and someone in the opposing team who you don't have a friendship with, but you respect because they've been in the league, or someone who you've admired has, you know, complimented you or said something nice to you that you were surprised by?
Yeah, actually, it was probably last year, and we were playing Cowboys, and it was Jason Witten, and he was trying to block me. I, you know, shedded the block, made a nice tackle, and it was like a TV timeout, you know, a little while after that, and he was like, you know, you're a hard guy to block on the edge and stuff. And just hearing that from Jason Witten for me was a cool thing, because it's like, I grew up, I actually grew up a Cowboys fan because of my dad. And so I've always knew who Jason Witten was, and for him to like come up to me and say that was pretty cool.
What about, I mean, that's a good, what about Christie? Similar, or Bryce? Same question.
Nothing specific that I can remember, but that definitely happens a lot. It does between, I mean, I know myself, I've said that to opposing players who presented a, you know, really tough competition or competitor. I mean, even the beginning of this, I mean, I had a girl that I played against who was on the Canadian national team, the center back, and we had the worst battles. I mean, just the language at each other, everything, and then we walk off the field and we'd be like, what's up, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're ready to go. And we still chat now, and we're both coaching, and when we talk about it now, it doesn't sound like it was so bad, but I remember vividly being, oh my God, this is horrible, we're so mean to each other.
As you said, again, this is the essence of sportsmanship, where you go out and there's a respect for each other, and you just know you're gonna be for a long, long afternoon or evening, because this person is gonna make your life miserable. And you know, when the match is over, or the game is over, and you shake hands, and you know, you're able to talk like regular people again, the respect continues on. And it just makes you feel good inside that, like Devon was saying, you know, wow, star tight end for the Cowboys, you're good. That lasts for an awful long time, you know? Bryce, I'm sure the same thing's happened to you over the years, the hockey stars you played against.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no better compliment when you have someone, one of your peers, you know, say something that, you know, kind of praises something you've done. So, yeah, you know, and it's important as you get older, you're doing the same thing, and helping other kids and stuff like that. But just to say, there are situations where there's actually people you do hate on your team. Right? And so, yeah, let's be clear here. You know, we're not all friends, but you know, over the years, there are some people that you really want to lay them out. So, and we're fortunate in hockey. That's where the fighting comes in.
Yes, that's good.
I have a question about that fine line between sportsmanship and gamesmanship. You all play high contact sports where there are refs, right, you know, looking right to make sure you're safe. And they don't see everything, but they see most things. My son played tennis. One of the great things about tennis is the kids call the shots. So that's the really great thing, and that's the really terrible thing, because the kids cheat like crazy. That's just part of it. And you know, everyone says that, it's acknowledged. Part of tennis is there's a lot of cheating out there.
Right.
And, you know, my son was fortunate enough back when he was playing in high school, one of the great local coaches was training him, really great guy. His policy on cheating was, the guy cheats once, you let it go, the guy cheats twice, you let it go, and then you start calling every single ball of his out. That was good. That was the rule. And I said this, I mean, you know, we sort of, for my son, it was really hard to hear. He basically couldn't do it. And so, you know, I was just wondering what your take is on that. I mean, I would imagine, is there ever a case where you take it into your own hands because another player is just, in other words, where the way to correct the bad behavior, the bad sportsmanship, is to do the bad thing yourself? Is that ever the right way, or how do you feel about that?
I don't know if it's ever the right way, but I've definitely been there. Like, a dude's holding me, I tell the ref he's holding me, he holds me again, I tell him he's holding me. And then the next time, you know, I'm gonna pop him in under his chin one time and let him know to stop touching me. So, I definitely been there.
Yeah, I actually, tennis is interesting. I never knew that actually until I was a college coach and I was watching tennis one time, and they were collegiate players were calling their own outs, and they have a ref that wanders around, and if you get in trouble, you can get in trouble if you call.
Yeah, but that's like a trick question, because the rule is, this is what all the parents say, like, just call the linesman over, they're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
The players always say, oh, you don't wanna be that kid.
I still think that's gotta, that there's gotta be, like, the coach in that situation put their imprint down on it, but there's gotta be, and that's a difficult culture to be in. I don't have, I'm not used to playing a sport where there's no, actual referee like there all the time. I mean, but even when we have it all the time, it's not all the time, and it's not, but I for sure have been in instances where, the line is blurred, you blur it back a little bit, and it's no different from when we say, let the ref take care of the game, and if the ref isn't taking care of the game, then you start to extend the boundaries a bit, or extend the rules a little bit.
At some point, the kids begin to set the rules of sportsmanship or gamemanship. They begin to realize that their opponent is a quality opponent in terms of how they view the game, and the kids, left to their own devices, will take care of business, and that's what happens. I know even tennis, especially at the younger ages, there aren't necessarily no linesmen there, and the kids make their own calls, but eventually the kids would begin to ferret it out, and the kids who cheat, their reputation begins to spread, and that takes care of them. Yes, sir.
I think what we're missing in this day and age is just the spirit of the game, because, Christie said, it's ruled by the referees. I'm in a sport, there is no referees. I play golf.
Okay.
So we call penalties on ourselves. Now,
Right.
I played in a tournament where the guy, I saw it once, I think he was doing something wrong, and when I saw it again, I called it on him, he denied it, and I wouldn't sign a scorecard. Now, the rules do side with the player because we have an honor code.
Yes.
So the issue is, I knew in my heart that I called him a cheater, and he was a cheater, and he can go home knowing that I called him a cheater. Now, he's still got a scorecard accepted, but it's always hard to deal when you don't have referees, and you have to have some honor. And, Bryce played a very hard game, and yes, he may have hooked a couple people along the way, but the referee, he played as hard as he could, and the referee decided if he made the penalty or not.
Well, look, let's face it, golf is the supreme example of the honor code when it comes to sports. But, it's one thing if you conscientiously cheat and you know the rules of the sport of golf, as opposed to just playing the game hard, and maybe you hooked or tripped somebody and you get called for it. Well, that happens. That's part of the game. That's why we always say to young athletes, bad calls are going to happen, but they're going to be missed. You can get angry about it, but you got to play on, because you can't change it. Golf's a little different. Yes.
I have a question, and I wonder if the athletes would have to you as a member of the media, and this whole discussion of the rivalries and how fans hate each other, and or to heighten the sense of competition and battle. On college game day, when you start broadcasting stuff at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning from campuses, and you have to fill the ESPN fill up all that space, and before every and they'll manufacture the thing, or the stories between the coaches who are really good friends and have been together, or the coaches who hated each other from the time they were on the line against each other. Does the media have any responsibility to take in that atmosphere, and how do you as athletes kind of take what's manufactured on those day-long broadcasts?
As an athlete, most of the time when you're playing, you don't pay attention to that. You don't know what's going on. You don't care to. I think it's a little bit different now. I mean, I don't envy athletes now in the social media era. I kind of just retired right as the social media was really kicking in, and I don't like it. I think it's, but it's just another, it's because I'm not used to it. But I would stay out of it. I wouldn't read newspapers. I wouldn't read articles about my games that I was in, or even articles leading up to them, because it was more for me. I just focus on the game and focus on getting the job done. But I think now that stuff, it's part of it now. It's become part of our culture and sport, and like it or not, you have to accept it. And but as athletes, I think if you're doing your job, you're staying out of that. except there are some that like to get involved in that.
Let me just say this, I love when high school athletes or college athletes put something really stupid on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, because I know I got another show to talk about. And, you know, I have lots and lots of high school coaches who say, no, we educate the kids and we try to explain to them that once you put it out there on the internet, it's there forever, and you may think it was a joke or funny, and it's not, and it's gonna end up really coming back to bite you in the butt. And every year there's some kid who does this and ends up losing a college scholarship because it's something stupid. So it's not going away. This is something that parents in particular and coaches have to educate their kids about. And if they don't understand, if you're really good and really talented on the way up, and you're looking to get a college scholarship or looking to turn pro, I mean, you're being scouted and you're being looked at, and you know, it's as simple as that. And down the road, when you try to get a job in the real world, again, that's out there for people to see, and people do check this stuff. So it's all about the hype, and it's all cool and everything, but it doesn't. It's only bad news. Simple as that. Yeah.
Real life example of that. So Matt, is Matt here? So Matt and I were looking today at a list. We recruit athletes to prepare them for the NFL Combine.
Uh-huh.
So we have a list of hundreds of collegiate senior football players, right? Prospects, and just hundreds of them. They're all anonymous to us at this point, but we looked at their Twitter handles, and Matt and I literally were going through. We don't know who these people are. We said, who's not getting a job anytime soon? Just by looking at that, and it was just an interesting moment that we had because everyone's looking. Scouts are looking, we're looking, and we're not very important. But you have a. I know this isn't really sportsmanship, maybe it is, but you have a responsibility to your life after
Well, it's
sport.
sportsmanship because it's all part of the hoopla and the build-up to a big game, the big rivalry, and so on and so forth, and the talking trash. But it's just nonsense, except that the residue is still there, and it comes back to bite kids in the butt later on when they're trying to get a college scholarship or impress a coach or a baseball scout, or it might be, or a hockey scout, and that's a problem. And that's, I don't think the kids understand. Maybe in a few years they'll get this, but it's really a concern, and it does hurt them a lot.